My name is Casey Redbeard, and this video is called Why It's Going to Be Virtually Impossible for You to Find a Good Woman in the Year 2025. They virtually don't exist. There may be a few of them left. I would never give you guys a doomsday scenario without giving you guys a solution, a light at the end of the tunnel, so don't worry, that is coming up. I also promise to give you new talking points than the classic red pill ones. I'm not a bargain Myron Gaines here. Okay, I have my own thoughts and my own analysis on this subject. So there's many main reasons why it's going to be so hard for you to find a good woman in 2025 and beyond. But the main reason is groupthink and what I call the startling rise in the female red pill. It's not really red pill, but I'm just going to use that term for lack of a better definition of it right now. So first, let's define what groupthink is. You're going to hear this a lot. So I have been to most countries in Latin America at this point. By the end of this year, I will have been in every country in Latin America. I've been to Africa. I lived all over the US. I've been to all over Europe. I've seen the changes through time, and I've seen the changes through different cities. I've seen how this groupthink or this brainwashing phenomena affects people, and people have really almost zero levels of individual. Maybe people have a little bit of individualism, a little bit of unique soul or whatever you want to call it, just a little bit of personality if you don't like the term soul. To themselves, but they're mostly just brainwashed by groupthink. Here's a perfect example. Well, first let's define what groupthink is. Groupthink just basically means what it sounds like. It means going along with the group and not wanting to stand out and just kind of having your thoughts, your opinions, literally the thoughts in your head are not even your own. You're just trying to fit in with whatever society has taught you. They'll do experiments. Somebody will hold up a shape in a room, in a lab. They'll have all these actors participating in a social experiment, but one test subject who's not an actor, but they don't know that everybody else in the room is an actor. And this is a condom, by the way, but someone will start and say, hey, group, we're gonna start with a very simple question today. We're gonna do a bunch of surveys, but we're gonna start with something easy. What shape is this object? I'm holding up an object right now. What shape is it? And then they'll go around the room and all the actors will say the wrong shape. They'll be like, triangle, triangle, triangle. It's a triangle. Looks like a triangle to me. I'd say triangle. Yeah, me too, triangle. Then they get to the actor, and the actor's kind of like, oh shit, I know that's a square. This is clearly a square object. But then the actor will go, triangle? And they go yes, triangle. But then in his mind, he knows that he's just saying the wrong thing. But over time, it actually becomes your own thoughts. Another example, we'll put up a picture of this to show this. In Africa, in certain tribes in Africa, they do this horrendous lip disking thing where they have this enormously grotesquely stretched out lower lip. You could never have a person in a normal society, not under deep, disturbing levels of groupthink, come to the conclusion that, oh yeah, a huge stretched out lower lip is an attractive thing. You have to be brainwashed or groupthinked, whatever you want to call it, socially conditioned into thinking that that's a desirable sexual trait. The same way we have these things, groupthink in society where, we'll say, oh yeah, it's normal for men competing in women's sports or something like that, right? Or the fact that men are oppressive or men have easier lives in modern society. Nobody could ever look at objectively from the outside and say, hey, women don't really pay for shit. Any woman who doesn't look like complete shit, any woman who do the very, very basics of just go to the gym, don't overeat like a land whale, try to dress sexy and have a soft feminine presence, we're not super annoying. Anyone who just do those three things, go to the gym, don't overeat, and be kind of feminine and cute and not overbearing and aggressive and annoying, can get a super top level guy that will support her entire life, and she never has to work or really figure out any problems, earn money on her own. Men will just basically pay for everything. Yet somehow women have harder lives, even though the checklist of a man is be tall, be charismatic, be rich, be insanely confident, be insanely good looking, all these things. The woman just has this basic list. So now getting on to what I call the stark rise and what I call, I'm coining this term the female red pill. It's not really traditional red pill, because red pill at its core means the truth. And believe me, these bitches definitely ain't spitting no truth. But what I call this, scary rise in female red pill or groupthink. If you ever fuck a hot 22 or 21-year-old girl, or 25, it doesn't really matter the age, 19, whatever it is, doesn't matter. And then you immediately go to the shower, as you should, to wash the pussy juices off the base of your dick. Look, if you wear a condom and you're nutting in the condom, you rip off the condom, just kind of roll over and go to sleep without washing off your dick area, you're fucking crazy. You're gonna get HPV if you don't already have HPV. You gotta wash those fucking juices off, okay? So go to the shower and then you come back and your girl's laying on the bed. You just fucked her. She's laying there naked in bed. You were showering real quick. She's picked up her phone and she started doom scrolling. The feed, the For You page, her feed on TikTok, Instagram Reels, whatever it is, when these chicks are doom scrolling, is a high percentage of videos where it's female influencers saying things to the effect of, only date guys if they're rich, only date guys if they're rich, only fuck guys for money, only take a date with a guy if he's taking you to like the #1 best restaurant in town. Men only serve, one purpose, and that's to be your ATM. Or they'll say things like, you're a queen and, oh, you deserve this, like, ultra top level guy. Or you'll see things, girls saying like, I worked as a waitress and I was busting my hump for, 2,000 or, 1,500 a month, whatever it is, minimum wage as a waitress. And then I started an OnlyFans and I started making, all this money. Or they'll show, street interviews with girls where they're like, you could have guy A or guy B. Guy A is short, fat, ugly, doesn't fuck good, but he's rich and takes care of you. Guy B is tall, handsome, treats you well, nice, charismatic, better mental connection, but it only makes like average money and you'd have to work simultaneously to be with this guy. And they like all choose the rich guy. And again, maybe these people who do the street interviews, maybe some girls are choosing like the handsome guy they have chemistry with, but they also have to work. Not every girl is choosing like, but they, it's rage bait. So they at least show this and girls are like, oh, I should think like that because other girls think like that. Remember, it's groupthink. Nobody could possibly think that the horrendously stretched lower lip is an attractive thing. But if that's what you're taught in society to value and from a sexual standpoint I think is attractive, you will start to believe it. Okay, men are susceptible to groupthink, but women are just a lot more susceptible. So that is pretty much all that they're seeing. I mean, look, they see like cat videos and pranks and stuff like that. And the problem is that whether it's memes or just culture in general, all this stuff starts in the US and then like a swarm of ravenous locusts, the culture starts in the US and it spreads out to the rest of the world, at least especially the Latin world. The Muslim world, parts of Asia may resist some of this crazy, Western United States thinking, but certainly not all of it. The Muslim world actually may be one of the last holdouts for like a truly submissive woman who actually like, listens to her man and doesn't want to like, wear the pants in the relationship. But I digress. Maybe we'll do a whole video about the Muslim world and I'll get unalived by making some Muslims angry, but we'll see. So it's this nonstop bombardment of bad culture coming from the West of like OnlyFans, showing your whole body. You know what else it is too? It's tattoos and piercings. Another example of groupthink. No one could possibly think that like the septum piercing, let's in the editing, let's put up some pictures of like the septum piercing here. I screenshot, every once in a while, dating apps, Instagram, just otherwise, not maybe maybe some of them would be cute, maybe some of them wouldn't be, but like, in theory, at least, some of these girls in the photos otherwise would be cute and attractive. But why would you put a piece of metal through your septum like a bull? Like remember like those bulls in Spain that like have like, the little ring through their nose? Like that's the most or like scar your body with tattoos, right? So every year, unfortunately, more and more common, more and more tattoos, more and more piercings, and more sugar baby, sugar daddy, like basically selling your dignity for money, becoming a normal thing. I reacted a couple uploads back to a video by my good friend and mentor, Owen Cook. And he was saying that, yeah, like, I think he said either 90% or all of his female friends in Los Angeles are sugar babies, AKA prostitutes. Don't make no mistake. A sugar baby is a prostitute who has sold her soul, sold her purity and her dignity for a cheap paycheck. Okay. Just completely like turned herself into like, basically a human like dildo, basically like a sexual object for a man's gratification. Completely like, because here's the thing, right? You may say like, oh, well, people mow the lawn for money and like you don't like mowing the lawn. So what's wrong with a girl, fucking a guy for money? Work is work, right? No, it's not work because it takes one of the most, sacred things we have, the bonding, the oxytocin, the dopamine, the serotonin release of like traditional human connection and puts a price tag on that. And then it destroys her ability to pair bond. Like if you mow the lawn in the summertime and you hate it and it's this like disgusting thing, you're sweaty, you hate pushing the lawnmower and you get a paycheck for it, that doesn't then destroy your ability to like pair bond and value and have connection with other human beings. So it's like, a distinctly different amount of work. And the other thing that's coming across with this like whole groupthink and female red pill thing is not just the tattoos, the piercings, only fuck guys if they're giving you money, only go out with guys if they're taking you out to the nicest restaurant, but it is just a generalized, frumpy, masculine, and entitled demeanor that they otherwise would not have developed. And you can see this because as soon as Instagram Reels and TikToks took off, like, listen, I've been all over the world, as we talked about in the beginning of the video. I've probably been to 40 or 50 cities around the world. And city matters more than country. You can go in one city in Brazil where they hate gringos. The second you speak with, I have really good Portuguese. I posted a cold approach pickup video and an interview. It's probably just a few uploads back. You can see me speaking fucking pretty damn, like Brazilians are coming like, yo, bro, like your Portuguese is legit. Like that shit was dope. But like I have a little bit of an accent. It's not super fluent. In most cities, and not most, but like say Rio and Sao Paulo, they have no time for a gringo with like, his like, gringo, not perfect Spanish or Portuguese. But then another city, they're all about it. They think it's so cute. Like I cold approach a girl in the mall who's a beauty pageant winner, take her out for a fucking cheeseburger 2 nights later, take her home and smash her, right? So it's like city matters more than country. And I noticed that before shorts, kind of like this like short form content like took off, a distinct difference in women's behavior and how they acted. I mean, I could go to a small town city where there was, pay for play was unheard of. Like I said, you could approach beauty pageant winners and take them out from cheeseburger and get laid. And now, because long form content is really hard to syndicate, it's really hard to put into other languages, and it's really hard to rack up like millions and millions of views on long form just because of its very nature, it's long form. But on shorts, even these girls in small towns now are getting groupthinked and brainwashed and warped and thinking like, I should do OnlyFans. And just like I said, that general masculinity and disagreeable thing. Like I was in Guadalajara, Mexico. Like it's Latin America, Mexico, like traditionally very, like chauvinistic, machismo culture. They have a female feminist president now. I should have known that like, maybe times have changed now. And I was just kind of like on video calls. I say it as a joke. I'm not like, again, I'm not a Myron Gaines. I'm not a bargain brand, Temu, Myron Gaines. I'm not trying to like red pill girls on like video calls, but I do video calls with them and I'd say, in a very like casual way, like, so hypothetically, like in a relationship, would you agree that, the man is the leader of the relationship and the woman takes a more passive role? Oh, no, 50-50 all the time. Like, fuck that. I'm like, you're Mexican, like you're not even American. Look, there's still a lot of good feminine women in Mexico, a lot of good submissive women who like to, play their feminine, traditionally submissive role to the man. Again, not like retardedly, like don't take it out of context, not like they're like a slave to the man or anything like that, but just in a more soft, role. There's plenty of women who like to do that. I'm just saying like, in the city I was in, Guadalajara, certainly they have the more, this modern woman thing. Again, like I said, the culture starts in the US and trickles down. It starts in the US and it trickles down because like even the memes, right? It's like all the memes come out in English first and like, then they go into Spanish and Portuguese. And like, even like these like funny, like, couples humor, these skits, look, Brazilians and Spanish speaking countries, people, whatever, Honduras, I don't know, any country, they have their own unique influencers, unique content. But you'll see many times the videos come out in English first, like these like couple skits, these like humor, funny videos come out in English first, and then they get copied verbatim into like Spanish and Portuguese. So that's another bad thing, aside from like, the dating guys for money and blah, 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 blah. And, what it also teaches because of this, like, oh, girl, like have these amazing, like impossibly high standards, only date guys that are rich and stuff like that. It gives girls what I call, I'm coining the term strip club standards. So what strip club standards are, it works like this, right? You'll take your buddy to a strip club and he's gonna get a lap dance from what he perceives as like the hottest girl. So some 8's gonna come up to him, try to seduce him, he's gonna wait. Then an 8.5, then an 8.6, then an 8.7. And he like still doesn't, I'm like, dude, you haven't like gotten your lap dance yet from like a girl? He's like, no, I'm waiting for like, an even hotter girl. I want the hottest girl. There was like a 9 that went back with some guy. I'm gonna see when she comes back if I can get her. I'm like, dude, just take the 8.7. In my head, I'm like, dude, you haven't been laid at all by any chick in the last 6 months probably. You've probably never been with a girl that was hotter than like a 5. And like this girl is like, like an 8.5 flirting with you. And like, he's like, but no. As soon as you put a guy in a strip club where all these 8s, 8.5s, 9s, heaven even forbid, a fucking perfect 10, at least in his perception, maybe what a perfect 10 is coming up, flirting to him and giving him attention. All of a sudden, dude, if a fucking 6 had flirted with him in Starbucks and asked for his number, it would have made his year. He would have been like nervous, like shaking, texting or calling her on the phone. probably been too nervous to even like, make it work on the date with her. If it did work, he would wife her up and make, this little 6'1" his girlfriend and just like call it a life and be super happy with her. But the second you put him in a strip club with all these, now he's like ditching the 8.5 for an 8.6, or he's ditching the 8.7 for a 9. This is what happens when you go to like big cities. You can match all these girls on dating apps. You can match these girls on Instagram. A match on Instagram means like you follow the girl, she immediately follows you back, and you start flirting. That's what a match is on Instagram. You can make Instagram into a dating app by getting matches on it that way, right? Which is what I teach, by the way. Go to my Instagram, which is RedbeardRants1, and text me the word audit, AUDIT, and give you free audit. How do you like, because most of the girls, say 2/3 of the girls I meet come directly from Instagram. Probably the other 1/3 comes from a day game. But even in day game, when I do an Instagram exchange, the flake rate goes down a lot by getting an Instagram instead of a phone number. Okay? Very, very important that you do that. So these women have strip club standards because no one teaches them. And again, it's all groupthink to say like, oh, it doesn't matter. You can, flirt with, a million guys simultaneously. You can post scandalous photos. It's okay to flake on guys at the last minute. You can, hold out and have these like impossibly, high standards, and, hold out for guys that, are like truly better than what you deserve. And here's the thing. These girls that are going for, what, and again, it's all subjective, whether, they're flaking on the 8.5s and stuff like that for what they think is like an 8.7. They're being judged by the guys 2 points higher than what they really are because of filters and Photoshop and makeup and angles and, lighting techniques, right? So they're not even nearly as hot in real life. And you can see this because I have a whole video about this on Guadalajara, but like me and my buddy, like we're matching with tons of beautiful girls. We occasionally get the beautiful girls on the date, but the vast majority of them are flaking on us. We're like, what's wrong with us? Like, what's going on? There's nothing wrong with us. It's strip club standards. There's nothing wrong with, like, do you guys have any ridiculous, like how ridiculously offensively hot an 8.5 is, like a true, like you can see her in the strip club. She's like half naked. I guess they're a little bit dark in the strip club, but maybe, you can see she has, beautiful skin, no blemishes. When you get up close anyway, you can tell that. There's nothing wrong with an 8.5. She just maybe, a guy chooses an 8.7. But it's just so retarded that like maybe, an 8.5 gets hired at the strip club. In 99% of the rooms she walks into, she's the most beautiful girl there. Yet in the strip club, she's got some 8.7s and some 9s to deal with. And then these bitches are making all the money and she's like barely able to scrape by. And she's like, what the fuck? I'm like a great option. That's how, we as guys feel sometimes when you're getting like, because again, I get it. Like most of you guys watching me, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but let's be real. You're not even at the point where you're matching with a bunch of hot girls on dating apps, or your cold approach sets. Like the vast majority of times you cold approach a very beautiful girl in the daytime, like the vast majority of your sets go well, etc. You're talking to girls on Instagram, it's going well. A lot of you guys aren't at that point, and you're just thinking, you may watch a guy like me and be like, damn, if only I could like approach a girl, and like, 1 in 4, 1 in 5 girls that I approached would really, really like me a lot and go on an Insta date with me right then and there. If only I could, follow, 200-300 girls on Instagram over the course of a month, and 40% followed me back, and 20% of those girls, 20% of 200 would be what, like 40 girls, something like that. Don't know, whatever it is. I can't do math. I think it's 40 girls. 40 out of 200 would be 20%. That would be so great to solve my problems. No, because then you get in a thing where if you're an entrepreneur, you realize like, wait a minute, I haven't gotten any work done this week. Why? Because like I'm texting and like my thumbs are sore, yet I've gone on like only a few dates because these bitches are so fucking flaky, right? And again, in the modern groupthink in society, they're never taught that like, yo, that's fucking rude to waste a man's time. And because again, like I said, you guys think if you just open up your Bumble and you had like 100 matches in your Bumble, you'd have a great dating life. No, you would just text all day to get flaked all day. In most markets, right? Again, but the groupthink is different in every market. In Africa, when you match with a girl, it's almost like it's like a business. Like if you like had a Zoom call scheduled with a client, it's like, yo, we're talking. I need leads. You have a lead generation company. My business is successful. We have long-term customer value. We crushed it on the sales call. We just need more leads. This guy's really good at providing the leads. It's a match made in heaven. Let's schedule a Zoom call and get on a call. Very, 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 very low odds that one of you is just going to completely flake and ghost the other guy, you know, and all like my business dealings like over years, it's maybe happened like twice over like 20 years of being an entrepreneur, right? Maybe like, you know, once a decade, a guy that, you know, made a good match for you guys to get on Zoom and talk and have a conversation. Like that's how Bumble is in Africa, right? Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that's pretty much how it is in Africa. And not just with foreigners, not just with white guys. That's just kind of like in groupthink, it's just seen as like weird to like match with a guy and waste his time and use him for validation. In other markets, it's not seen as weird to do that. So this kind of brings me to the next point. So how do we get out of this doomsday scenario? Well, here's the thing, right? Number one, capitalize on every good girl, every at-bat, every opportunity you get with a good girl. Or if you're already dating one, lock that girl down. Say that again. Capitalize on it. Because beforehand, maybe you could just be a player. You could run around and go from like good woman to good woman to good woman to good woman. And when you're finally ready to settle down, you can just settle down and they're easy to replace. They're not easy to replace. Like maybe hoes are easy to replace, but probably not even, because even then they're so flaky and they have so many options if they're in any realm of a big city and if they look anything better than like a complete fucking turd. But like the at-bats, the opportunities you get with the actual few like good girls that are out there, hold on to those. Hold on to those for your dire fucking life, okay? Because you're not going to get many other at-bats. The other obvious thing, as I talked about, is, you know, geomaxing. Here's the thing too. I have other videos about like stepping up, and listen, there's nothing wrong with stepping it up with, you know, listen, you know, I used to say when I would talk on videos like, you know, oh, like, you know, I pull these hot girls even despite being like, you know, a bald ginger with skinny arms. Well, I'm no longer bald and I no longer have skinny arms. I'm still a ginger, okay? I can't change that part. But if you watch old videos, I would open them up by saying, you know, I'm Casey Redbeard, I date beautiful girls despite being a balding ginger with skinny arms. Clearly, I have, you know, leveled up from that. The veneers, getting the yellowish teeth are next. I may do other things next. And I don't just mean from a looks maxing or physical standpoint. I mean improving your social skills. Bro, my social skills and my ability to do cold approach day game and create a connection with women, I'm almost back to like I like lived in nightclubs and lived with RSD instructors. If you know who RSD is, doesn't matter if you don't know, but like pickup instructors in like 2013, 2014, I am damn near in the same shape, like the same like social shape, not like physical shape, but the same like social skill shape I was back then when I used to quite literally damn near pay rent to like live. I was going out like 7 nights a week. I'm almost in that good a shape now. So whether it's my social skills, I'm doing well financially, the channel and, you know, the business finally starting to take off. I'm getting help, hiring employees, everything's going well, starting to blow up on Instagram, other channels, things like that. But so I'm not against leveling up, guys. I never said don't level up, but here's the thing. If you're already like an 8.5, you can go to a big city where these delusional women are gonna hold out for an 8.6 and an 8.7, and you being an 8.5 are just gonna get like barely like edged out and have your time wasted by a high flake rate, and this girls I wanna do a little better. So rather than you being in a big city, go to a small town. I talk about this before, it's called my small town strategy. There are a few exceptions where you can have it all. And by have it all, I mean you can go to a very nicely developed, safe city that is a first world or second world country or first world, second world city, and have all the comforts of, you know, maybe there's Amazon and Costco, or, you know, at the very least they have good infrastructure, good weather, it's safe. Maybe if it's a foreign country, there's like other cool expats to live there. And there's a good dating scene. So it's a nice place to live and a good dating scene. Nice place to live and a good dating scene. But for the most part, those places, look, it all comes down to personal opinion. Perhaps Nairobi, Kenya, if you're in it, like me, I always say, I'm not racist, but my penis is racist. I don't like white girls. I don't like black girls. I don't like Asian girls. I really only like Latinas. And in Kenya, surprise, surprise, they're all super dark black girls, and I don't like that. I didn't jam with them physically, not my type. But I know other people love black girls. So if that's your type physically, then, you know, maybe Nairobi, Kenya, at least in the nicest areas. I mean, look, it's Africa. You're still gonna deal with like, you know, random power outages and stuff. But for the most part, I'm kind of getting off on a tangent here. For the most part, you can almost never, under practically zero circumstance, maybe one or two exceptions aside, you can pretty much never have a big, developed, nice city with good culinary experiences, museums, a lot of stuff to do. It's by the beach, and a good dating scene. If you want a good dating scene, you have to go to pretty much a third world shithole, or a first world shithole, you know, like some city in America that sucks ass. Although it'd be very strange that a beautiful girl would live in like, I don't know, like a bad neighborhood of like Detroit. If she was like hot, she would just get a sugar daddy that would take her out of her shitty neighborhood in Detroit, like, you know, immediately. Also, it says a lot about her mentally if she would like knowingly stay in a shitty neighborhood. But again, maybe like some small town girl in like Ohio or something like that could be fairly reasonable. Maybe she has, you know, a very conservative father. I could see, you know, some exception out there, it happening, you know, in theory, maybe, kind of, sort of, right? But point being, you're going to have to go to one of these third world shitholes or settle for an ugly chick, which you probably don't want to do, or bring in some type of sugaring. So we'll get all the time you're trying to level up. Let's not forget that. All the time you're trying to level up. But like I said, leveling up isn't enough if you're in a big city because, you know, look, you're never going to be a 10. Right? Like you just probably don't have the bone structure for it, right? You just probably weren't gifted with the height and the bone structure and the aesthetic. Maybe your social skills will never, maybe you have like slight degree of autism. And again, even if you can get to be a 7.5, you're going to get edged out by the 7.8. If you can be an 8.1, you're going to get edged out by the 8.5. So like you can level up, but put it this way, right? If you're a stripper and you know you're a solid 8, you can go work in like the strip club where you're on like the best strip club in Las Vegas. And even though you're an 8, there's like legitimate perfect 10s working in this strip club. It's at like, you know, Sapphire or whatever it is in Las Vegas. And you're going to get edged out because guys are going to have these inflated like strip club standards there. Or plan B, which you could do, is go to a strip club in, you know, some random city in Arizona or something, not to pick on Arizona. There's actually a lot of beautiful girls in Arizona, but I'll just pick on Arizona for no reason. Fuck you, Arizona. Where maybe you're an 8 or an 8.5 and all the other girls are 6.5s and 7s. So that's how it works for me. Rather than me try to level up to this, because look, again, I love leveling up, but you can only level up so much. Rather than me trying to level up to an unrealistic, unattainable degree, why don't I just put myself in a city where, number one, the groupthink, the brainwashing in that city has led them to think that gringos, particularly in my case, blue-eyed, pale-skinned white gringos, are of high value. And even if their Spanish isn't perfect or their Portuguese isn't perfect, that's fine. The gringo accent is cute. So number one, what their groupthink says about foreigners. But number two, where I could objectively be, you know, an 8 or an 8.5 in an area where all the guys are fat, broke slobs. So that even though her groupthink and her brainwashing is saying, go for the highest value guy, never be satisfied, higher value, more guys, more money, taller, more muscular, this, more. I already am that top guy there. I already am that top guy. And listen, you know, once a girl is deeply, deeply in your frame and deeply, deeply in love with you, as long as you don't like change up and like, you know, consistently drop the frame too much, you're probably not going to lose her if you wanted to bring her back to the US. Especially if like, look, if you're like, put a baby in her, like, you know, down there and or at least you get her pregnant, or you plan that the second she comes back to the US, you're going to get her pregnant. She has no social media. Like, don't take her to Miami, New York, Los Angeles. Don't let her watch the news. Make sure she's like a submissive, feminine woman that likes to follow your lead. Listen, most truly feminine women kind of form their personality around their man. They'll like whatever sports team he likes. They'll be aligned politically, whatever. If he's a conservative, they'll kind of become conservative. If he's liberal, the girl will kind of become liberal. Like most feminine women just kind of mold themselves around their man. So like if you, you know, train her well and protect her from herself, again, you teach her why tattoos are bad, why piercings are bad, why the, you know, feminism is bad. You keep her in a fairly, you know, small household. She has a couple friends. She has her own life. She's allowed to go out. She's allowed to, like, you know, be a human and go out. She's not like your fucking dog. She's not your slave or anything like that. But, you know, she's allowed to, you know, form her own, you know, thoughts and opinions and be her own person to some degree. But if you really just protect her from like the really bad ones, the tattoos, the piercings, the feminism, the woke culture, and like the left craziness, she's not going to leave you. She's not going to leave you. It's when you know, let them hang around with like the girls and get drinks on South Beach, right? If you let your girl, like if you take, you know, some Venezuelan girlfriend of yours to South Beach, Miami, she starts hanging out with the Americanized Venezuelans down there. Oh yeah, you're gonna lose your chick. She's gonna get groupthinked by her peers. And like, you want to keep her in the house and, you know, raising kids, you know, immediately, eventually. So, you know, that's my advice. That's the end of tunnel advice. Is like level up as much as possible, but understand that no matter how much you level up, the environment that you put yourself in, the competition, again, it's only like subjective competition. Like again, like I remember one time I got left at a party. I'm dancing with this girl, one of the most beautiful girls I had in my life, at least at that point. And it was her birthday. It was like, she was drunk. It was done deal. I was going to smash her. This is in college. And then she like leaves me to go upstairs and fuck like the 5'5" chubby pimple-faced drug dealer. Now, was he objectively the better option? No. Was he subjectively, in her mind, in her feeble, drugged out, you know, God knows what she was on, what substances she was on, especially when she went up with him. He was a drug, she probably didn't lie with him. Was he a better option to her in her fucked up reality? Yes. So it's not even like, you know, you being objectively better. You gotta, you know, include the, you know, the groupthink of that culture, the groupthink of the girl, her opinions, her, you know, semblance of individualism, which she probably doesn't have much. It's probably mostly coming from her environment, stuff like that. And literally just put yourself, like, you know, the whole like big fish in small pond thing. If you're thinking like, oh, this sounds like so much work. Look, the only other option you have besides doing this would be sugaring, to be honest, right? Like literally like sugaring. Now, I have conflicting views on this. I'm very much a realist. And if you had asked me, you know, what my thoughts on sugaring are, even as much as like 2 years ago, because bro, 2 years ago, I could go to Sao Paulo, Brazil and get, you know, a 7.5 or an 8 straight off Instagram to go out with me, just straight up. On Instagram, we match, we flirt. Yes, they were always flaky. Yes, they were always difficult, but I could get a 7.5 or an 8 to go out with me without paying her. Try that now. Try as a gringo without, you know, completely native fluent Portuguese. Again, my Portuguese is fucking tight. It's really good. It's really fucking good. But imagine having a gringo accent, being, you know, a somewhat above average, but not extremely Chad looking guy. Even if you are a Chad looking guy, try dating a top level girl in Sao Paulo or Rio without paying her. You just want, like, there's just too much groupthink. The mind virus from the United States, that you know, the only date rich guys has taken over. So that's why I have conflicting views on the sugaring thing, because again, on one hand, I think it's disgusting and disturbing. And if you asked me 2 years ago, I would say under no circumstances, no how, no way should you ever do that. But I have some clients that come to me like, listen, Casey, I'm fat, I'm old. I don't really want to leave the US. Even if I did leave the US, I'm still really fat and old. And I don't know if it would work over there because, you know, I'm like really fat and old. And I just want to date, you know, 8s and 8.5s. And I'm like, you have to sugar. And it's one of these things that's like 99 out of 100 times going to end in complete disaster. If you have me guiding you, like here's one trick, right? For like sugaring, right? You have to, well, you know what? I'm not even gonna get into it. I don't want to even teach, you know, sugar dating here because people might clip this and take this the wrong way. And under, like, my thoughts on it are like, listen, if you're gonna do it under the guidance of me. Otherwise, it's just gonna end in disaster. And then you have to understand, even if I'm doing my best to help you, leading a relationship with money opens the door for many, many problems. But, you know, being realistically, if you just know that you're this like low SMV, you know, not super attractive, you know, low sexual market value guy, gotta move. Even if you are a high status, good looking, high sexual market value guy, like I said, you can be an 8.5 and get edged out by 8.7s and 8.8s all day long. And again, okay, quick tangent. There is a country, I don't want to say the name of it because I don't want to get canceled by this country and appear in their news articles and appear in their media. So if you're mad that I don't mention the country, suck my dick and fuck off and unsubscribe. I have to do some measures to give myself a little bit of peace at night and not wake up to a social media ban. So please fucking excuse me for wanting to, you know, maintain some level of, you know, sanity and keeping a social media account that doesn't get banned every goddamn month. But let's just say it's in Latin America and it's geographically close to Argentina. Let's just say that. And if this country were a website, the domain would be hotgirlswithfuckingdorks.com. So this is a country where I did pretty well, and not that I didn't like their personalities that much. I talked about it a lot, but I didn't jive with their personalities that much. And, you know, even though I could have, like, you know, stuck it out, I'd rather, like, dude, like, I can't really stick it out with a girl that I don't like her personality. It's just to fuck her. Like, if she wants to fuck on the first night, that's fine, but I can't do 2, 3, 4, 5 dates. And, you know, but it's still a high flake rate. Like, I did well, I didn't do that well. Most of the times I got a lot of flaking, even flaking after a first date. Imagine that. It's like a new trend that used to never happen, but it's happening sometimes, getting flaked after the first date. It's just when like the power completely shifts. And I'm fucking tight. I'm fucking dope on fucking first date. So it's not like a confidence or being nervous thing. But then you see them around in this like popular, you know, shopping mall that they have. And, you know, maybe not, it's not like literally the same girl, but you see who they're like ditching you for. It's like, they're just these fucking dorks. Or like a city like Medellin, Colombia. I can say anything I want about Medellin, Colombia because they've already done their worst. They've already done their worst to try to take me down. And, you know, here I am, still am, you know, they can't take me down. If you know my history in Medellin, you can, like, you know, check it out later. I'll talk about it maybe again in a future video. But you'll see these girls that like don't want to date a gringo, you know, a guy who's more masculine, more charismatic, better looking, would treat the girl better, better off financially, support her better. Literally in every metric, he dominates the locals, yet they'll be with some broke, tattooed, feeble, feminine, weird, princess looking local over a gringo. That's why I said it comes back to groupthink. So it's not even about the fact that like, you know, you being objectively a better option. It's subjectively within that, you know, dating market. So it's really, it's like real estate, guys. It's location, 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 or like I said, I mean, level up. I never said don't level up, but mixing in some sugaring into it. But boy, oh boy, if you are not doing that tightly under my supervision and following everything that I tell you to do, guaranteed to end in disaster. You're going to get finesse out of all your cash. You're going to see the most ugly side of female nature and humanity, and bad news. So there you go. Hope you guys liked it. Hope it was educational as well as entertaining. If you guys want to connect with me, if you want to start off with a free Instagram audit and then go from there about how my strategy, about how I meet girls on Instagram, and just talk to me about anything. Talk to me about my fucking hair transplant if you want to. Go to my Instagram, which is RedbeardRants1, and just message me the word audit. AUDIT, just one word, nothing else, just that one word, please. Audit. And we can chat and see if it's a good fit for us to work together in some capacity. Otherwise, like the video and subscribe for more free game. Cheers.